What if I told you that the greatest leaders aren't the ones who have all the answers, but the ones who are brave enough to ask the tough questions? What if courage, vulnerability, and emotional honesty were more powerful than titles, experience, or authority? Welcome to the world of Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, a groundbreaking guide that redefines what real leadership looks like in today's world. If you want to become a more powerful leader, a better human being, and a catalyst for change, then stay with me, because this video could change how you lead forever. Chapter number 1, the myth of tough leadership. For decades, we've been sold a lie about leadership. We were taught that the best leaders are the ones who are always strong, always confident, and always in control. That to lead means to have all the answers, show no emotion, and never, ever let people see your weakness. But Brené Brown, one of the world's leading researchers on courage and vulnerability, flips this idea completely on its head. She says something revolutionary. You can't be a brave leader without vulnerability. So what does that really mean? It means that leadership is about being untouchable or invincible. It's not about pretending you're perfect or putting up a wall so no one sees your doubts. Real leadership, brave leadership, is about being honest, open, and emotionally aware. It's about creating an environment where people can speak up without fear, ask for help, share ideas, and even admit mistakes. Brené calls this creating psychological safety. In a psychologically safe environment, your team members feel seen and heard. They feel respected, even when they mess up, and they feel safe to take risks, ask questions, and be themselves. Think about that for a second. Isn't that the kind of leader you would want to work for? One who doesn't fake perfection, but is authentic enough to say, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to listen, to learn, and to lead with heart. Now, let's be clear. Vulnerability does not mean oversharing, being emotional all the time, or being weak. Vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, Brené Brown says that it's the most accurate measure of courage. Because let's face it, it takes real strength to say, I made a mistake. I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. That conversation was uncomfortable but necessary. I need help. That's not weakness. That's bravery in action. So if you want to be a leader who inspires, who connects, and who builds trust, it doesn't start with shouting orders. It starts with the courage to show up, be real, and lead with vulnerability. Chapter number 2, Rumbling with Vulnerability. Let's talk about one of the most powerful and misunderstood concepts in leadership, rumbling with vulnerability. Now, you might be wondering, what does that even mean? Isn't vulnerability a weakness? Something leaders are supposed to hide? Well, Brené Brown flips that idea on its head. She says vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. So, what does rumbling with vulnerability really look like in practice? The word rumble here is important. It doesn't mean fighting or arguing. It means engaging in real, raw, honest conversations, even when they're messy or uncomfortable. It's about leaning into the tension, facing the fear, and choosing to be present and open instead of shutting down or pretending. Let's break it down with an example. You're a team leader. One of your employees just made a big mistake on a project. The old school leadership mindset might tell you to stay calm on the outside but judge them on the inside. Avoid the conversation to keep the peace. Or worse, shame them in front of others to teach a lesson. But what happens then? People get defensive. They hide their mistakes. They stop taking risks. They stop growing. Innovation dies. Trust disappears. The whole culture suffers. Now imagine this instead, the daring way. You call that employee in not to punish them, but to rumble. You say something like, let's talk about what happened. Not to blame, but to understand. What can we learn? What can we do differently next time? That's vulnerability in action. You're not hiding behind a role. You're not pretending to have all the answers. You're showing up as a human being who wants to grow with your team, not above them. And in doing that, you build trust. You create psychological safety. You spark real growth and real connection. Brené makes it crystal clear. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Because here's the truth. No one creates something new while playing it safe. No one builds greatness while hiding behind fear. So when leaders rumble with vulnerability, they give permission to everyone else to be real, to take chances, to speak up, and to learn from failure together. Let's reflect. Are you having real conversations with your team or avoiding them? Are you open about your own fears, or do you armor up and pretend? Are you creating space for honesty or just demanding results? To rumble with vulnerability is to lead with your whole heart. And that's not weakness. That's leadership at its boldest, bravest, and most human. Chapter number 3, the Braving Inventory. In any leadership role, whether you're managing a team, building a business, or simply trying to lead your own life, there's one ingredient that must exist before anything else can flourish. That ingredient is trust. But here's the thing. We often talk about trust like it's some mysterious force, like it either exists or it doesn't. But Brené Brown breaks it down. She says trust is not a feeling. It's a set of observable behaviors. She created something called the Braving Inventory to explain exactly how trust is built and how it breaks down when these behaviors are absent. Let's walk through each letter in BRAVNG. B. Boundaries. Clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. Trust begins with boundaries. It means being clear about what's okay and what's not okay, and respecting those limits. Leaders must communicate their own boundaries clearly and respect the boundaries of others. Think of a boss who emails their team at midnight and expect a reply within minutes. That's a boundary violation. Now contrast that with a leader who says, I don't expect replies outside work hours. That's clarity. That's kindness. That's trust. Boundaries protect relationships. They tell people where the safe space ends and danger begins. Without them, resentment grows. R. Reliability. Do what you say you'll do. It sounds simple, right? But reliability isn't about big promises. It's about consistency. If you promise to follow up after a meeting, follow up. If you say you'll deliver a report by Friday, don't make excuses. Reliability means people can count on you, not just once, but every time. One reliable act builds trust. Repeated reliable acts build unshakable trust. Accountability. We all make mistakes. Accountability is owning them. Real leaders don't pretend to be perfect. They own their mistakes, apologize sincerely, and make amends. Let's say you miss a deadline. A weak leader blames others or makes excuses. But a brave leader says, that was on me. I didn't manage my time well. I'll fix it. When you model accountability, you give others permission to be honest, without fear. Trust grows when people know they can mess up, learn, and move forward. V. Vault. What I share with you stays with you. This one is huge. Vault means confidentiality. If someone tells you something in confidence, personal or professional, you keep it safe. You don't gossip. You don't use that information to gain leverage. And you definitely don't share it just to seem in the know. If your coworker shares a personal struggle and you talk about it with someone else, even if you mean well, you've broken the vault. And once the vault breaks, so does the trust. Integrity. Choosing courage over comfort. Integrity isn't just about being honest. It's about choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy. It means standing up for your values, even when it's unpopular. It means not cutting corners, even when nobody's watching. And it means speaking the truth, even when your voice shakes. Breen says, integrity is doing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy, and practicing your values, not just professing them. That's leadership with a spine. And that's how trust is built. And non-judgment. I can ask for help without feeling judged. Have you ever felt like you couldn't ask a question because you looked stupid? Or you couldn't admit you were struggling without being looked down on? That's what non-judgment protects against. In a trust-rich environment, people can say, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Or I'm overwhelmed right now. And instead of judgment, they get support. This one's especially important in leadership. When leaders make it safe to ask for help, people grow faster, fail smarter, and work better together. G. Generosity. Assume the best in others. This one might be the most beautiful of all. Generosity means choosing to believe in good intent, even when someone's actions fall short. Let's say your teammate snapped at you. Instead of assuming they're rude or disrespectful, you might say, maybe they're having a hard day. I'll give them some grace. Generosity is not about letting people walk all over you. It's about offering compassion before criticism. When teams practice generosity, resentment fades, and understanding replaces blame. So what does braving really teach us? That trust isn't magic. It's not something you either have or don't. It's something you build, moment by moment, choice by choice. Use this inventory with your team. Use it in your relationships. Use it to evaluate your own trustworthiness. Because the moment people feel safe around you, that's the moment real leadership begins. Chapter number 4, Living into Your Values. Let's talk about one of the most important, yet most overlooked, parts of leadership, your values. We often hear companies talk about values. They hang on office walls. They appear in employee handbooks. Words like integrity, teamwork, innovation, they're everywhere. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people in most organizations don't actually live by their values. They talk the talk, but when pressure hits, when challenges arise, those so-called values disappear. That's not leadership. According to Brené Brown, real leaders live into their values. They don't just say what they believe. They show it through decisions, actions, and behavior, especially when things get hard. So what does living into your values really mean? It means taking your values out of your head and embedding them into your daily life. They should shape how you lead meetings, how you give feedback, how you manage conflict, and even how you respond to failure. Here's the exercise Brené Brown gives us. She says, don't just pick a long list of nice-sounding values. Instead, identify your top 2 core values. Yes, just 2. This sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful exercises you'll ever do. Ask yourself, what are the values I hold when I'm at my best? What truly drives me, not just when things are easy, but when things get tough? Do my decisions reflect those values? If someone watched me lead for a month, would they know what my values are without me saying a word? Think about it. If you say respect is your value, do you listen without interrupting? If your value is honesty, do you give clear feedback, even when it's uncomfortable? If your value is compassion, do you show kindness when others fall short? Your values are your moral compass. They guide you through ethical dilemmas. They help you make hard decisions without losing yourself. They keep you grounded when leadership gets messy. And let's be real, always does. Without strong values, it's easy to fall into the trap of people-pleasing, avoiding conflict, making decisions based on fear instead of principle. But when you live into your values, you lead with clarity, courage, and consistency. People trust you because they know who you are. And more importantly, they know what you stand for. Here's the best part. Once you're clear on your values, you can start building a team or an organization that lives by them too. Imagine a workplace where everyone knows the shared values and actually lives by them. Where values are the standard for hiring, leading, firing, creating, and growing. That's the kind of culture where trust and excellence thrive. And it all starts with you. Let's wrap this part up. Ask yourself today, what are my 2 core values? And how do I live into them every single day? Because in Brené Brown's words, we can't live into values that we can't name. And we can't be the leaders we're meant to be if we don't know what matters most. Chapter number 5, Learning to Rise. Let's face a hard truth. If you're a leader, failure isn't a matter of if. It's a matter of when. But here's what separates brave leaders from the rest. They don't run from failure. They don't cover it up, pretend it didn't happen, or blame someone else. They own it, feel it, learn from it, and then they rise. This section of Dare to Lead is one of the most powerful because it's about resilience. Not the fake kind where people pretend everything's fine, but the real kind where you fall, feel the pain, get honest about it, and come back stronger, not harder. The Rising Strong process. Brené introduces a 3-part process to help us rise after a fall. She calls it the reckoning, the rumble, and the revolution. Let's break it down. 1. The reckoning. Face the fall. This is where it begins. You've fallen. You failed. You feel shame, fear, maybe embarrassment or anger. The first step? Stop. Pay attention. Name what you're feeling. Most people try to skip this. They numb it. They distract themselves. They move on without ever dealing with what happened. But Breen says, we can't heal what we don't acknowledge. So, in the reckoning phase, you recognize the emotion, sit with it, and get curious. Why do I feel this way? What story am I telling myself? 2. The rumble, challenge the story. Here's where the hard work begins. This is the messy middle, where you confront the story you made up in your head. Let's say someone criticizes your work. You instantly feel like you're not good enough. The story in your head might be, I'm a failure. I'll never be respected. But is that true? In the rumble, you ask, what are the facts? What am I assuming? What's my responsibility in this? What's theirs? This step takes vulnerability. It takes humility. But it's where real clarity and growth happen. Breen reminds us that we're wired for storytelling, but most of the stories we tell ourselves aren't even true. Rumbling helps us rewrite the narrative from a place of truth and strength. 3. The revolution, rise with integrity. After reckoning and rumbling, something changes inside you. You rise, but not just back to who you were before. You rise wiser, braver, more self-aware. You become the kind of leader who doesn't just bounce back. You come back with a deeper understanding of who you are and how you want to show up in the world. This is a revolution. The moment you transform pain into purpose, it's when you stop leading from fear and start leading from clarity, courage, and truth. Key quote to remember. Breen says, we can't get to courage without rumbling with vulnerability. Embrace the suck. Yes, she actually says that. Embrace the suck. Because rising is not glamorous. It's not a movie montage with upbeat music. It's raw. It's uncomfortable. It's full of doubt and second-guessing. But it's necessary because courage isn't born from comfort. It's born from the moments you want to quit, but choose to show up anyway. Final takeaway. Resilience is not about being tough. It's not about pretending you're unbreakable. It's about being human, about falling and getting up, about learning to lead with heart after heartbreak, with strength after struggle, and with truth after fear. So the next time you fall, remember this. Don't numb it. Don't deny it. Dare to rise. Because real leaders aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall 100 times and get up 101, each time with more grace, more grit, and more wisdom than before. Last chapter, what it really means to dare to lead. So, what does it really mean to dare to lead? It's more than a catchy title. It's a challenge, a mindset, a lifestyle. It's about showing up in your life, in your work, in your relationships, in your community, with your whole heart. Let's break it down. Choosing courage over comfort. Most people choose the easy path. They avoid difficult conversations. They play it safe. They follow instead of lead. But daring leaders make a different choice. They choose courage, even when it's uncomfortable. They speak up when it would be easier to stay silent. They make bold decisions when the outcome is uncertain. Because courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being brave despite the fear. In Breen's words, courage is contagious. Every time we are brave, we make others around us braver. So ask yourself, are you choosing courage or comfort? Being vulnerable, not invincible. We've been taught that leaders must be strong, confident, and unshakable. But the truth is, pretending to be invincible only creates distance. It builds walls. Real leadership begins when you have the guts to be real. To say, I don't know. To admit, I need help. To tell your team, I'm scared to, but we'll face this together. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of innovation, connection, and trust. Only when people feel safe to show up fully, flaws and all, can they do their best work. So dare to be vulnerable. That's where your power lives. Building trust, not control. Old school leaders try to control everything. They micromanage, they dominate, they manipulate. But daring leaders do the opposite. They create environments of trust. They empower people. They set clear expectations and let others shine. Brené Brown introduces the braving acronym earlier in the book. showing us that trust is not some abstract feeling, but a skill set that can be built, measured, and practiced. When people feel trusted, they bring their full creativity, effort, and passion to the table. Trust isn't a reward. It's a foundation, rising from failure, not hiding from it. Every leader stumbles. Every dream comes with setbacks. But the difference between average leaders and daring ones? The daring leaders rise back up. They don't hide when things go wrong. They don't blame others or make excuses. Instead, they own their failures, learn from them, and get back in the arena. Breen calls this process learning to rise. Because leadership is not about being perfect. It's about being resilient. So next time you fall, don't run. Don't hide. Get back up. That's where leadership is forged. Living your values, not just preaching them. Everyone says they have values, but do their actions match their words? Daring leaders walk their talk. They don't just post motivational quotes on social media. They make tough decisions based on what's right, not what's easy. They hold themselves accountable before anyone else. Breen asks us to identify our two core values, the ones that truly guide us. Then we must live those values every single day, in meetings, in conversations, in crises. Because values don't matter when it's easy. They matter when it's hard. Whether you're leading a company, a classroom, a team, or just leading yourself, this book isn't just for CEOs or managers. It's for every single person who wants to show up more fully in their lives. You might be a teacher, a coach, a parent, an artist, or a student. But leadership starts with one thing: your willingness to be brave. Because leadership is not about position. It's about presence. It's not about power. It's about purpose. In the end, the world doesn't need more perfect leaders. It needs more courageous ones. Leaders who dare to feel. Leaders who dare to connect. Leaders who dare to lead with heart, not ego. So let me ask you, are you ready to dare to lead? If you found this video inspiring, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss future book summaries that will unlock your potential. Let me know in the comments, what part of Dare to Lead resonated with you most? And which brave action will you take starting today? Until next time, stay bold, stay brave, and keep leading from the heart.